What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains. As always, I'm your boy, James Jackson, Jimmy J, young gentleman. I go by everything in the above. My guys, Carl Sirik, Stat Matt Robinson, no Jake Galley again. He's been battling some health concerns. Not gonna give out all his information, but like everyone who's listening, just like give a nice little, well wishes and a little prayer if you pray at night. Add Jake in there, man. Our guy's been going through it a little bit lately, y'all. Like in you know what I mean? Like on the sideline trying to battle back, but we're with them. But we got the show must go on, and the show in the NBA. The show is the NBA for right now. That brings us to the facts straight at you. The Nets are in first place in the Eastern Conference for the first time since 2003. That's a minimum of 10 games played. That's when they won their second consecutive Eastern Conference title. So that leads us to the question. I mean, the Nets are the talk of the town, and it's funny because all these moves have happened in between episodes for us. So like we haven't talked about the Nets. It's weird. And we definitely haven't talked about them with this stacked lineup. And it's a question, how super is the Nets super team? Like how stacked is this deck? People are saying this on paper, this is the best roster of all time, the most talented roster of all time. Do you all believe that? Do the facts say that?
I think
All
talent-wise,
time. That's a little much.
I don't know if
Matt,
you're
I
just
don't know,
speaking
man.
talent-wise.
I don't know,
mean,
man.
you go down that list, it's pretty tough. I was actually, every subsequent pickup, I was like, it doesn't matter. Sixers are still the best. James Harden trade didn't matter to me. I mean, it matters in different ways. I still think the Sixers are the best. And then Blake Griffin comes in. I was like, irrelevant. And then they get LaMarcus Aldridge. And he's old, but he's not old like people think he's old.
No.
Like, LaMarcus Aldridge is like 5 seasons removed of putting up like 40-point games. And like I'm a little scared now that they got LaMarcus Aldridge, and we haven't even seen this team play at strength. KD's played one out of the last 20 games. I mean, talented team of all time. I don't know. I'd have to go through the teams, but it's up there. But I'm scared. This is a super team.
I mean, it's the quote is on paper, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong. You're talking about guys, maybe not LaMarcus Aldridge, but at least in Blake Griffin, you were talking about 5 years being removed. How about like 2 years removed from dropping 40, 50-point games? And now he's no longer the best player on his team. He's the fourth or fifth option sometimes, which is nuts. Which is, that quick of a turnaround. And he's screaming and yelling to the bench, I still got it. Like, to be a fourth option on offense on a title contending team, I believe he still has that. I believe LaMarcus Aldridge still has that. And when you combine it with 3 of the best scorers, if not the top 3 scorers, pure scorers in the NBA, then that's like on paper, Matt. I know you're like scoffing at it, but that's like I don't know. Name me a roster, just a roster on paper like that. Name me one all time.
I have. It's really funny. I have like an inverse take, but I have the same take. I think they're unbelievably good and so hard to beat, but I think the Griffin and Aldridge acquisitions are just like a little sprinkles. It's nothing more than like sprinkles on top of a sundae. It's nothing that special. It's nice to have, but you wouldn't really notice it you wouldn't complain if they weren't there. I think Griffin and Aldridge are like, you said fourth option. I think they're like 7th options.
I would actually,
because
Joe
Harris is there. Even like someone like Bruce Brown.
I'm looking at it more than
Jeff
just scoring. Like LaMarcus Aldridge comes in and his first game has 17 and 11 or something like that. Like they didn't have someone down low who could gobble up rebounds like that before to go along with everybody bringing everything at a all-star, all-NBA level on their team. Like every facet of the game, someone, maybe besides defense, someone does it at an all-star or all-NBA level. That is an absolutely stacked team, man. No team of all time.
I agree with Matt. Blake Griffin doesn't mean too much. He's not even playing 20 minutes a game on the Nets, or I think it's like just about 20. But LaMarcus Aldridge came in, he's played one game. He played 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he was playing 25, 26 in San Antonio before he left. I mean, I think LaMarcus Aldridge is a serious pickup. You have an argument that Joe Harris is their 4th option, but I'm not putting him further than 5th. I think LaMarcus,
but he's been so. You could say he's been on a team that like he's not really happy with anymore, but like the Spurs are still like a team that's hunting for the playoffs. It's not like they're like Detroit, like Blake Griffin was on, and he was just really poor. He lowest points per game of his career since his rookie year, only 13.6 points per game, and only 4.7 rebounds per game, which is wild.
It's all about perspective.
And
I'll let you finish, but it's all about perspective because give me those numbers on the Nets right now, and that's your 4th best player putting up 13 and 4. And it's
All I know,
LaMarcus Aldridge. And it's going to be better than that.
He had a negative box plus minus, which means the Spurs were better when Aldridge was on the bench compared to when he started.
Because he has to pull the bulk of the weight. He's looked to be not the first best, but the second best, third best player on the Spurs. Look to pull major weight. So when he pulls in a 13-4 game, no, it doesn't move the Spurs that much because no one else is giving that much better than him. On the Nets, there is going to be 4 or 3 players that are giving up better stats on a nightly basis than that.
Okay, here's my take. The Sixers improved with their trade deadline acquisition more than the Nets improved with theirs.
Absolutely not.
George Hill is absolutely the best player between Aldridge and Blake Griffin.
No, Matt, come on, man.
I disagree because, and I think it's close. I see where Matt's coming from. That take doesn't blow me away, but getting LaMarcus Aldridge now means that you have someone that can actually no one can stop Joel Embiid, but you have someone to actually put there now.
That right.
It's
Jordan
another body that can eat up fouls. That's what LaMarcus.
Yeah,
Aldridge.
But then I mean
that's so disrespectful to LaMarcus Aldridge. He's
and
not
Matt,
just a body to eat up fouls, man. This is I get it. Y'all are Sixers fans. Kyle, you're being more objective than Matt is.
I think the Nets are better than the Sixers just because Harden, Kyrie, and KD is it's just unfair. Just have all three of them
you're
together.
Adding 2 more pieces to the already unfairness.
Matt, I think you're too low on Aldridge. I mean, you looked at this season, but that was 20 games. I mean, last season he was 19 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and that was one season ago. I think Aldridge is a legitimate pickup and fills a huge need, which was a big man. I mean, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan are past where they're at 5 years ago. Aldridge is in that timeline, but not to his peak yet. He's not washed out yet. I think Aldridge is actually good still, and it does scare me with that pickup when none of the other ones did.
Number four on an offense. Number 5 sometimes on an offense. It's I don't know. I think this is how Matt sleeps at night. I really do. But
I think I really want the 1 seed just because we're so good at home, and I don't have to face Milwaukee. I really do think the Nets, if they face if I'm being objective, they beat the Sixers in 6 games. If they play. And that's just because KD, Harden, and Kyrie it's just they're 19-3 in their last 22 games, and KD has played 1 of them.
Yeah.
And Harden's almost averaging a triple double over that span at 27.5, 9.5, and 10.9. And he's almost getting back in the MVP race after he was sleepwalking through a dozen games in Houston, which shows how good he's been. And then you have Kyrie, who's having the best season of his career, averaging the most points while also being the most efficient he's ever been. And I love the Sixers defenders. I love Thibault. I love Simmons. I love Embiid. But you can't defend all 3 of them at once. That's one of them. You have to put Danny Green on.
Take your chances. I'm still taking the Sixers. I'm not getting off the bandwagon. I think what these deals do mean for the Nets is they still have that glaring hole, which is defense. They didn't patch that up, and now it's a more likely in my head they can score 135 points and win that game. Where 2 months ago, I was like, "Oh, this team can't play defense."
They don't have to be.
They might not need to much anymore, but I'm still taking the Sixers in the matchup because, hey, to me, that's the best defensive team in the league. The Sixers are, with 2 of the best defenders in the league.
That's the best offensive team in the league.
Defense wins championships, baby. I'm sticking to it.
I hear you, but the Nets don't have to be good on defense. They have to be good enough. They have to.
But they're 19th in defense now, which is absolutely.
Which is average, which is where they need to be. Absolutely.
Oh, this is unfair. This is disrespectful to the Lakers. I'm looking up the NBA futures. The Nets are the odds-on favorite to win the chip.
I mean, the Lakers' 2 superstars are out. You know what I mean?
No, but they'll come back. LeBron will come back.
Right, but as it stands right now,
the Nets are plus 240. The Sixers are plus 1,100.
I think the Jazz are still getting.
Hammer it. I think Sixers 11-1 odds, baby.
I think
the Jazz at 8-1 is a dumb bet. That's the Clippers at 5.5 to 1 is dumb, but we'll get to the Clippers.
Let's get to them right now because I think we patched up all the Nets argument. Unless y'all really think that, this is. Not, a lot of what you said, Matt, isn't sitting right with me. To be honest,
I'll answer the question: how super is the Nets super team? It's like run of the mill super team. It's like run of the mill super team.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
So The Heat,
Wait.
when they won with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, they were very good, and I think they're in that class. The Celtics, when they had KG,
What about the
Pierce, and
Warriors? What about the Warriors?
not the
Warriors,
Warriors?
it's weird because they were with KD. Yeah, that's the elite. That's the top when they had KD. It's like untouchable.
Here's what I noticed. That's what KD has done, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he went to the Warriors with a stacked deck and a super team, won a championship, and now is on the Nets with a stacked team and a super team, and is about to go, contend for a championship. What everyone's eyes most likely win a championship. Like, I think these are guys who have realized that it's like a band of brothers who realize, like, I can't do this alone, and I can't be almost the best player on my team. Like, I need another James Harden on my team. I need another Kyrie Irving on my team. I need multiple on my team. I need as many good pieces as I possibly can to go win a championship. Like, I think KD has manifested both of those.
Do you know why all these players went to the Nets?
Why?
Why KD went to the Nets? Why Harden wanted to go to somewhere like Brooklyn or in the East?
They can't win. I mean, they can't win on their own.
It's because they wanted to avoid LeBron. When LeBron's in the East, all the stars move west. When LeBron goes west, all the stars move east.
I don't know. It's not. It may be to avoid LeBron. I think them being in the Eastern Conference is almost a little bit of a coincidence, but it's to prepare themselves for LeBron. It's LeBron and anybody else. Like, if we're giving ourselves the best opportunity to win because we're just going to have the most best players. And I think KD has done it both times.
With the super team argument, and you say how like the Warriors are that elite level. Well, they are, but a little bit it is like hindsight bias. They won 3 chips, and you look at them talent wise. I see a lot of the same talent, but the league wasn't ready for that then. That like the rest of the league was not even close to that level, and the Warriors had the option to steamroll it. And they were going to steamroll at the start of every season. You kind of just knew LeBron was going to have one shot, and that was it. The rest of the league was done.
Right.
With this team, I feel like it's a different standard now. I think
the league's better. The league's
on
better.
paper, I think this team can very much stack up with that Warriors team in terms of super team. But I think the league is just so different now to where that doesn't mean they're going to steamroll a championship.
No, I mean, they've teams also almost know how to. Not know how to, but are prepared to defend super teams. Like, they've done it
when
once
the Warriors
before.
Came in, it was people were screaming, "This is unfair. This is blah blah blah." And now it's like, can this team beat LeBron? That wasn't the Warriors' argument. It was opposite. It was like, can LeBron beat them this year?
Right.
And they got him once. But I think now it's, can this team beat LeBron? I think it's a different league. It's a different perspective to look through. But I think on paper, this team is better, if not the same, as that Warriors team.
That's disrespectful to that Warriors. That Warriors team.
No, it's not. How is it disrespectful? There's 2 MVPs on this team. There's 2 MVPs on this team.
The 2016, there were 2 MVPs on that Warriors team.
That's
too.
right. So it's Kyle's saying they're comparable.
Okay, but
and then you could go like
KD's
Clay and Kyrie, LaMarcus and Draymond.
We don't really know what he is. He's not the same defender. And Draymond is the 4 is way better than what the Nets have at their 4th option.
But
and Iguodala and the 2016-17 Warriors are the greatest team ever, and I really don't think it's that close.
Sure. That's fine. But I think this team is close.
But it's also on paper.
Like, but you still think the Sixers are going to beat
about on court now. Now you're bringing it to on court. Like,
we were talking about the talent.
We're talking about the talent
team.
on paper. You need names and stats. It's very, very comparable to that 2016-2017.
Oh, then it could be like an 04 Lakers thing where they have Karl Malone, Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, and then they still lose in the finals, kind of thing.
Hopefully the Eastern Conference Finals, but I'm with that.
So you're saying like Karl Malone and the Lakers is like LA on the Nets. That's what you're saying.
Karl Malone was better on the Lakers than LaMarcus Aldridge was last year. So
I don't know about that.
Karl Malone before he got hurt. The Lakers win the chip if Karl Malone doesn't get hurt, but that's a whole other
story.
Yeah.
Maybe. I just don't have anything to contend about it.